Hey guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, today we're gonna make a sort of combination between some requested updates. I know some of you guys wanted to see some orchids. I said some so many times, but I will mix it with some, again, orchids that we worked on, or we included them in a different video and we needed to make a follow-up on them. So probably it's gonna be a hot mess of a mix, but anyway, let's get to the updates. And let us start with the Tolumnias. I know somebody wanted to see the Tolumnias, and they are over there, so we need to move. And here are the Tolumnias. I have to tell you guys, they didn't do anything spectacular in the sense that they didn't bloom. They were slightly affected by the clay pot. Last year, things went very well with them. They produced a lot of roots. This year, though, the root system developed so much that it was starting to circle the clay pot, and that was not okay for them. The clay pot started to soak up too much moisture, the root tips were dead, pretty much things didn't really work out the way I thought they would. And as I was saying in a previous video, I think the quality of my clay pots, which were super porous and super absorbent, had something to do with it. Also the fact that I was using clay and ceramics, yet again very absorbent, didn't really go so well in the second year. That's the interesting thing here. Last year, when root systems were not all that great and they were not circling the pots, I didn't have many issues, but this year, oh no. So let's get you in closer. We did actually, we did actually work on this one on a separate video, and this is the, oh my goodness, talk about instability. This is the Tolumnia orange, and she's finally looking okay. We worked on this one in a separate video. I was telling you that last year, from all of my Tolumnias, she was the one that was simply not starting to grow. The roots were not doing okay, she was dehydrated, and ever since then, things corrected themselves and she has quite a nice root system. So yes, they seem to be doing a lot better in the plastic pots rather than the ceramic pots. But yeah, they still need to recover from my ill treatment last year. I don't suspect I'll see any blooms anytime soon, but at least they are starting to bounce back. They don't look 100% really, but they look a lot better than they used to. Speaking about almost lost orchids, I almost lost this orchid. This is the Epidendrum Crystal Valley Red Star. I think that was the full name. Yeah, that's the name. I don't want to disturb it because this orchid actually has roots. I decided to switch it to semi-hydro because right now it kind of needs water. So why is this guy so tiny? I actually had a fully grown epidendrum. It's a sort of a dwarf epidendrum, I believe. This particular variety, it was advertised as a mini epidendrum in comparison to the tall ones. Anyway, but when we moved out, some of the orchids didn't fare on transport that well and then adjusting to a new environment, and this was one of them. The mother plant absolutely refused to produce any roots. What it did was focus all its energy on a little keiki. And this is the little keiki. I'll try to find the video from last year and I'll post it somewhere here. The little tiny keiki that could. It had, I think, 2 little tiny roots. I was not expecting this guy to survive. I potted it in pure ceramics, I think, in a clay pot, and behold, it started to grow. It started to produce roots. It did not enjoy the clay pot, so I moved it into a plastic pot and afterwards into the semi-hydro setup, because this is an orchid which right now requires quite a lot of water for these roots to grow nicely and moisture, so I think semi-hydro is a little bit better for him right now. That's why I moved him. But look at this. This is this year's growth, which is growing so well. I'm so proud of this little guy. He's a fighter, and yeah, I think this orchid is saved right now. I absolutely cannot believe it. I'm telling you, the keiki was like this when I repotted it, when I separated it from the mother plant and just put it in ceramics. See what happens. Well, there you go. Quite the little fighter. Okay, next an update on the Dimorph Orchid Slowy, which I received from John a few months ago. This gives me the heebie-jeebies. This orchid is quite a special one, and I'm so scared I'm gonna mess it up. And it looks like I've already did. Well, not really. This orchid spent 1 month on transport. I don't know what happened. It was in full sphagnum moss, and it was very wet. When I took it out of the package, I was fearing it will develop an infection, stem infection, crown rot, something. In the first month, it didn't really grow anything except the root system, which is still growing, so that was good. And then I saw this in the crown, in the center. Yeah, so I thought, yeah, crown rot. This is what's gonna happen to this little guy. Okay, that's that. Bad luck, what can you do? But then the leaf continued to grow, and as you can see, it is continuing with green growth, looking very, very nice indeed. So whatever happened here has stopped, and it's not continuing down the leaf, which is good. The roots are actively growing still, and they seem to absolutely not mind being in semi-hydro and being in the reservoir. There is no point in keeping this orchid super soaked all the time, but being that it is a seedling, because yes, this will grow into a huge orchid, being that it's a seedling, it does really appreciate the extra moisture. It's just not on the same level as an oncidium. Alrighty, so this is turning out to be an update on the sickly orchids and how they're doing, so let's continue it like that, right? So I'm gonna show you some orchids that were sickly, they're bouncing back and so on. Let's do that. I think that's more interesting than having just simple random updates. I did include a few orchids you wanted to see, so hope you enjoyed that. Let's take a look at a Dendrobium right now, and I need to get that guy out of there. Alrighty, so this right here is a Dendrobium that I purchased for my birthday, Dendrobium jenkinsii crossed with aggregatum. Now this has been in my collection ever since the ending of last year, and he never actually did a lot. He created this pseudobulb with this leaf that just dried at the tip, and I was not sure what's wrong with this guy. And then I noticed the root system. The root system had a serious issue with the layer of pebbles. Not because it was touching it or anything, but because it was dry. They were growing and then stopping all of a sudden. So this orchid didn't really have enough roots. It did have some roots inside the pot that are meh, so-and-so. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'm gonna put this guy in semi-hydro because he will have more moisture at the top. And oh boy, did it make a difference. I did this a month ago, and the orchid started to grow her roots once again. It's a little hard to show you. I have one here that you can see, of course, but there are multiple others just going inside the medium, and hopefully you can see them here and there. The new growths have created a nice root system. This is a new growth. As you can see, the leaf still has a little something here. I think it was strangled while it was forming, not sure. But she did not dry out like the other one. This is another new growth. So things are looking so much better for this orchid. This is something that it arrived with. I'm not sure if this orchid had some pests or something at some point, or some deficiencies, or God forbid a virus, but it doesn't really look like the nasty viruses, but who knows. So I'm not sure if this orchid is suffering from something, to be honest, but right now she's growing very vigorous, and although the pseudobulbs are slightly shriveled, it is actually how they're supposed to look like. They're supposed to have ridges. What they're not supposed to look like is leaves, and pretty much that's how she used to look like, very shriveled. Now she's looking great, so yay! Another one that seems to really enjoy this way of growth is the Mueller Oncidium that I recently received from my wonderful subscriber, Jessica. And I have a few more from Jessica, oh my goodness. I'm running out of gratitude words to say to this wonderful woman, really. Okay, no emotions. So this guy, the Oncidium, oh goodness, I don't want to remove this tag, but I'll add the name of this guy on the screen or inside the description, just expand it and you'll see. It's a Mueller Oncidium. It arrived without roots, sadly, but hydrated at least. So he did have enough strength to produce this wonderful growth with a wonderful little root system at the moment. It didn't have any roots, but now it's growing. I see the roots have started to suck up water, which is good. He's on the right track, and in no time he will get hydrated. Okay, the last update we're gonna make is on this guy, and oh boy, this was included in a video I made a few months ago. I think it was titled Orchids I'm Gonna Lose, something of the sorts. Anyway, I was sure that I'm gonna lose this orchid, but no. So it created a new growth. And that new growth yet again had issues with the layer of pebbles being way too dry. I could have resolved, in both of the cases, I could have resolved the issue with a hand sprayer and maintaining the top wet. But the pebbles do not retain any water. They get dry in a matter of minutes in my climate here. And I simply did not have the time to do that or the capabilities to maintain the top layer that wet. So both of these orchids went into semi-hydro, and ever since then, oh, the growth. So this orchid, hopefully you can see, of course you couldn't see because I was out of frame, this orchid produces extremely thin little roots. Rarely did I see such thin roots on orchids. they are extremely fragile. They need to stay pretty wet, at least when they first start or when they grow. Because otherwise, for me at least, and in my setup and climate, they just stop growing and that's that. But now this orchid is producing a ton of these little flimsy roots that led to this wonderful new growth. Can you believe it? It has such a beautiful green color. It looks so incredibly healthy right now compared to what you see in the back. You can see the pseudobulbs have once been pretty shriveled. They have been very shriveled. So now everything is going great with this orchid. I think she will do well in semi-hydro, and she's saved. I'm not gonna lose it. It's the same story with the epidendrum that I showed you. I was convinced there was no chance. But lo and behold, orchids have more power than we give them credit for. That has been it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. And of course, if you'd like to see other orchids you didn't see in a long time, just let me know down below in a comment and we shall arrange it next time. So you know the drill. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchids and plants videos. I post 5 times a week, but I take a break on Wednesdays and Thursdays. But I guess a better thing would be to turn on notifications and YouTube will just let you know whenever I post a new video. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye. Okay, so I know that I told you last week that we're gonna talk more about Phalaenopsis and Hoyas and I'm doing something in the greenhouse. I did not finish. I ran out of materials and I didn't have time to go buy, but the Phalaenopsis and the Hoyas and stuff will be arranged and we'll do a video on them whenever I'm ready. So I'm gonna stop promising you I'm gonna show you stuff because they're not ready. I'm sorry. But yeah, I am redesigning a little corner of my greenhouse and I hope it will look pretty, but I'm not sure when it's gonna be done, so I'll just keep my mouth shut from now on, shall we?